There comes a point in your life when you have to look in the mirror and admit something painful. The person you see is not who you were meant to be. You've been living beneath your potential, walking in circles, pretending progress is happening while nothing truly changes. But let me tell you something, transformation doesn't take a lifetime. You cannot change what you're not willing to confront, and that's where true transformation begins with truth. Most people spend their lives running from the mirror, avoiding the reflection that exposes who they've actually become. They hide behind excuses, distractions, and business, pretending everything is fine while deep down knowing something is broken. But until you face that truth, nothing will ever shift. The first law of transformation is awareness. You can't defeat what you deny, and you can't fix what you fake. The life you're living right now is the sum of every choice you've made up to this point. The money you have, the health you maintain, the relationships you keep, they are all mirrors reflecting your mindset, not your circumstances. People often pray for change but resist the process that demands honesty. They want elevation without evaluation. They want growth without accountability. But truth is the doorway to transformation, and only those who walk through it find freedom. You can attend every seminar, read every book, listen to every motivational message. But if you won't confront your own lies, you'll stay the same. The truth may sting, but it will also set you free. The reason you're not where you want to be isn't because life is unfair. It's because you've accepted things you should have rejected and tolerated habits you should have terminated. The truth is, you've probably told yourself stories to justify staying average. You've said things like, I'm just tired, I'll start next week, or maybe success isn't for people like me. Those statements feel safe, but they're poison dressed as comfort. Every time you excuse your lack of action, you reinforce your old identity. Your mind records your words, and your subconscious follows your confessions. So if you constantly declare limits, your life will live within those limits. The day you decide to stop lying to yourself is the day your power returns. Because when you own the truth, you reclaim your authority to change it. You see, truth doesn't just expose your weakness. It reveals your potential. It shines light on the gap between who you are and who you could become. That gap is not meant to shame you. It's meant to challenge you. You can't climb a mountain if you pretend it's not there. The moment you stop running from your truth and start running toward it, momentum begins. The person who becomes unrecognizable in a week is not the one who finds new tricks or shortcuts. It's the one who finally gets honest about what's been holding them back. Let's be real. Sometimes the truth will hurt. It'll hurt to admit that you've wasted time, that you've allowed fear to lead your life, that you've settled when you should have stretched. But pain is a teacher, and truth is the classroom. When you stop blaming the system, the season, or the people around you, you begin to realize that responsibility is not a burden. It's a blessing. Because if you created your current situation through your thoughts, choices, and habits, then you have the power to create a better one using the same tools. Transformation doesn't begin when conditions improve. It begins when your convictions deepen. You can't become unrecognizable if you still defend your excuses. Every lie you tell yourself builds a prison around your potential. Every truth you embrace breaks a brick off that wall. So if you want to change your life in 1 week, start with a week of truth. Be brutally honest about your habits, your priorities, and your mindset. Ask yourself, what am I pretending not to know? What am I avoiding that's costing me my future? Those questions are uncomfortable, but they're sacred. They open the door to freedom. Most people want a new life, but they don't want to give up the lies that built their current one. They want transformation without transparency, but truth is a purifier. It cleanses your mind of the pollution of denial. When you live in truth, you stop performing and start progressing. You stop chasing validation and start chasing growth. You stop being controlled by fear because you realize fear feeds on deception. The moment you see the truth clearly, fear loses its power. Think about this: every time you lie to yourself, you postpone your destiny. But every time you face the truth, you accelerate your growth. The distance between who you are and who you could be is measured by how much truth you're willing to handle. Some people can't handle it because truth demands change, and change demands courage. But if you want to become unrecognizable, courage is the price you pay for clarity. The truth is your foundation. Everything else, success, confidence, wealth, peace, is built upon it. Without truth, everything you build eventually collapses. So stop looking for external motivation and start building internal honesty. When you wake up each morning and refuse to lie to yourself, you ignite something powerful: integrity. Integrity is the alignment between what you say and what you do, what you believe and what you live. It's the soil in which transformation grows. When you commit to truth, you start seeing results faster than you thought possible. Why? Because truth eliminates confusion. It clarifies your path, exposes your distractions, and aligns your energy with your purpose. In just 1 week of living in total truth, no excuses, no blame, no denial, you shift your entire mindset. You'll begin to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles, strength where you once saw struggle, and clarity where you once saw chaos. Truth will make you uncomfortable before it makes you unstoppable. It will humble you before it honors you. But if you stay committed to it, you will become unrecognizable, not because you found a magic formula, but because you finally found yourself. Change doesn't happen because time passes. It happens because a decision is made. A single decision made with full conviction has more power than years of hesitation. Most people believe they need time to change, but time only reveals what you've decided. Until you make a real decision, you're simply existing between desire and doubt. A decision is not a thought, a wish, or a plan. It's a line you draw in the sand that says, I will never be the same again. When you decide with your whole heart, life rearranges itself to match that decision. Circumstances begin to shift, opportunities start to appear, and strength you never knew you had begins to rise within you. The problem is that most people never truly decide. They make half decisions, emotion declarations without commitment. They say, I want to change, but they leave the back door open to their old life. They hold on to their comfort while praying for courage. They hope for transformation, but never make the cut that separates them from the person they used to be. Real decisions are costly. They require sacrifice, discomfort, and focus. But that's what gives them power. When you decide, you burn the bridges to your old excuses. You no longer negotiate with your fears. You take ownership of your direction, and your direction starts to create your destiny. A decision is the seed of destiny. Every major shift in your life will trace back to a moment when you decided that something had to change. It could be the decision to stop complaining and start creating, to stop waiting for permission and start pursuing your purpose. Every breakthrough begins with a bold choice. You don't need more information to change, you need more commitment. People drown in knowledge because they never act on it. They attend motivational seminars, read self-help books, and collect wisdom, but never use it. Information without decision is just decoration. Decision is what turns knowledge into power. When you make a real decision, something inside of you changes instantly. Your focus sharpens, your words shift, and your energy aligns. You start acting like the person you want to become instead of waiting to become them. The world responds to decisiveness because decision creates momentum. It tells the universe, I'm ready. You can't sit in indecision and expect movement. Indecision is a silent thief. It steals your peace, your purpose, and your power. It keeps you stuck in almost. You almost started the business, almost got in shape, almost took the opportunity. But almost never changes anything. Almost keeps your destiny in neutral. Decisions are not made with emotions. They are made with conviction. If you wait to feel ready, you'll wait forever. Feelings follow decisions, not the other way around. The most powerful changes in life often begin when you decide in fear but act in faith. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the mastery of it. You don't need to have all the answers before you decide. You just need to have a reason strong enough to make hesitation irrelevant. People who transform quickly are those who stop asking, what if it doesn't work, and start declaring, what if it does? The moment your why becomes bigger than your what if, you become unstoppable. Decision is also spiritual. It's the alignment of your will with your vision. When your spirit, mind, and actions agree, power is released. You stop being double-minded. You stop wavering between who you were and who you're meant to be. The most dangerous place to live is in the middle, halfway in faith, halfway in fear, halfway in purpose, halfway in excuses. The middle feels safe, but it's the breeding ground of mediocrity. You cannot serve two masters. You must choose who you'll become. When you decide, heaven and earth move in agreement with that choice. Most people are waiting for a sign, but the sign is the decision itself. The door doesn't open until you commit to walking through it. The decision activates the process. Once you decide, the how begins to reveal itself. Until then, everything looks confusing. You can't see the path clearly because the path doesn't appear for people who are undecided. The universe rewards clarity, not confusion. When you decide that your dream is non-negotiable, life starts making room for it. But when you keep treating your dream like an option, life treats it the same way. Every time you postpone a decision, you give power to your past. Every time you act on one, you empower your future. The distance between where you are and where you want to be is often just one real decision away. The moment you say, enough is enough, and mean it, your entire reality starts to shift. The people around you will sense it, your actions will reflect it, and your results will confirm it. Decision doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. It rewires your identity because now your mind recognizes that quitting is no longer an option. Think about every great person who has ever achieved something meaningful. They all had a defining decision. The decision to start when no one believed in them. The decision to keep going when everyone told them to quit. The decision to bet on themselves when the odds were against them. They didn't wait for perfect timing. They created it through their commitment. They didn't need validation because their decision validated their purpose. You have that same power. The ability to decide is the most divine authority you possess. It's how you create your world. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't ask for motivation. Decide to move. Decide to become who you were designed to be. Decide that the old version of you no longer has a vote in your life. Decision is the death of excuses and the birth of destiny. The moment you decide with conviction, you become a magnet for transformation. Opportunities start finding you because decisiveness creates attraction. Your energy changes, your words change, and your walk changes. 1 week of unwavering decision can make you unrecognizable. because the person you were before that decision no longer exists. They were replaced by someone who finally chose to live on purpose. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. It's the invisible line that separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the achievers, the hopeful from the powerful. Everyone wants success, freedom, and transformation, but few are willing to embrace the one thing that guarantees it: consistency. Discipline is not punishment, it's preparation. It's the daily proof that you're serious about your purpose. The world doesn't reward wishes, it rewards habits. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're building a new identity, one decision at a time. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it's about restriction, about saying no to fun or comfort. But true discipline isn't about limitation, it's about liberation. It frees you from the control of impulse, laziness, and procrastination. The person without discipline is a prisoner of emotion, always moved by what feels good instead of what produces good. Discipline teaches you how to master yourself, and when you master yourself, nothing outside of you can control your destiny. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. Success doesn't respond to desire, it responds to diligence. You can pray, visualize, or speak affirmations all day long, but if your habits don't match your declarations, your words are empty. Discipline is what turns intention into impact. It's what transforms information into implementation. You can have the best strategy in the world, but without consistency, it's worthless. The people who change their lives in a short amount of time are not necessarily smarter or luckier. They're just more disciplined. They show up when they don't feel like it. They follow through even when motivation fades. Because motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. The truth is, everyone has two choices every day: comfort or growth. You can't have both. Comfort keeps you the same, discipline transforms you. Discipline means waking up earlier than you want to, doing the work no one sees, and staying focused when distractions call your name. It's saying no to what's easy so you can say yes to what's eternal. Discipline is the difference between wishing for results and working for them. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful. It's in those quiet, repetitive moments of self-control that greatness is born. If you truly want to become unrecognizable, you must learn to love discipline more than comfort. Comfort is seductive. It tells you to rest when you haven't earned it, to settle when you should be striving. But discipline whispers a harder truth: keep going. Discipline doesn't shout, it guides. It trains your mind to stay focused when your emotions try to negotiate. Every time you say no to the easy road, you strengthen the muscle of self-mastery. The stronger that muscle gets, the faster your transformation becomes. The biggest misconception is that discipline is natural for some people and impossible for others. That's a lie. Discipline is a decision, not a DNA trait. It's built through repetition. You don't wait to feel disciplined. You act disciplined until it becomes who you are. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're rewriting your self-image. You're teaching your subconscious that you are a person of integrity, a person who follows through, a person who can be trusted. And when you start trusting yourself, your confidence grows. You stop doubting your ability to succeed because your actions now provide evidence that you can. Discipline is the foundation of confidence. Most people think confidence comes from success, but success is the fruit. Discipline is the seed. You can't expect to reap what you haven't consistently sown. The more disciplined you become, the more control you have over your time, your energy, and your emotions. You start to realize that success isn't about doing everything, it's about doing the right things consistently. Discipline simplifies your life by removing confusion. It gives you clarity because you're no longer chasing every impulse. You're guided by purpose, not preference. Every successful person you admire has one thing in common. They mastered discipline long before anyone knew their name. They trained when no one was watching, studied when others were sleeping, worked when others were wasting time. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They made the moment perfect through consistent effort. That's the secret to transformation. It's not the intensity of what you do occasionally, but the consistency of what you do daily. 1 week of focused discipline can create results that people spend years trying to achieve because most never give themselves a full week of unbreakable commitment. There's a powerful truth: discipline creates momentum, and momentum creates miracles. The first few days are always the hardest because your old habits will fight for survival. Your body will crave comfort, your mind will whisper excuses, and your emotions will try to negotiate. But the moment you push past that resistance, something shifts. You begin to feel stronger, clearer, more powerful. You start to crave progress more than pleasure. You start to see how capable you really are. Discipline becomes your new comfort zone. When you live without discipline, you live by default. You let life decide for you. But when you live with discipline, you live by design. You take charge of your destiny instead of being a victim of circumstance. Every area of your life, physical, mental, spiritual, financial, responds to discipline. You eat better, think sharper, move bolder, and believe deeper. You become reliable not just to others, but to yourself. And that's when transformation becomes permanent, because you're no longer relying on hype or emotion. You're powered by principle. The greatest gift discipline gives you is freedom. Freedom from regret, from doubt, from mediocrity. Freedom from waking up every day wishing you had done more yesterday. When you live with discipline, You walk with peace because you know you gave your best. You stop chasing shortcuts because you understand that the process itself is the reward. Discipline doesn't just change your actions, it changes your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone trying to change, you see yourself as someone who is already transformed. And that's when you become unrecognizable, not because the world changed, but because you finally learned to command yourself instead of being controlled by your comfort. Your environment is either feeding your future or suffocating it. You cannot become unrecognizable while staying surrounded by people who only recognize the old you. Every dream, every goal, every transformation requires the right soil to grow in, and your environment is that soil. You can have all the potential in the world, but if you plant yourself in the wrong place, you'll never reach your full height. Too many people are praying for elevation while refusing to leave environments that keep them grounded in mediocrity. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. If you truly want to change your life in 1 week, you have to be willing to change where you spend your time, who you listen to, and what influences you allow into your space. Your environment shapes your expectations. It determines what you see as normal, possible, or acceptable. If you spend time with people who constantly complain, you'll start to believe that complaining is a form of conversation. If you stay around people who fear risk, you'll start to believe that safety is wisdom. But if you place yourself around people who are disciplined, visionary, and hungry for growth, your mind begins to stretch. You start to raise your standards without even realizing it. You begin to adopt the energy of excellence. You cannot rise higher than the mindset of the people you surround yourself with. Your associations either accelerate your evolution or anchor your excuses. Sometimes the hardest part of growth is outgrowing people who once felt like home. But understand this, not everyone who started with you is meant to stay with you. Some relationships were for a season, not a lifetime. When you begin to grow, it exposes who's truly aligned with your purpose and who is only comfortable with your past. There are people who loved you when you were average but can't handle you when you evolve. They will call your growth pride because your progress confronts their comfort. Don't let their discomfort make you shrink. Protect your peace by protecting your space. If your environment doesn't challenge you, it will change you, but in the wrong direction. Energy is contagious. Spend too much time around negativity and you'll start thinking negative thoughts. Stay in circles that lack vision and your dreams will begin to fade. The environment you choose today becomes the reality you experience tomorrow. You must be intentional about who and what surrounds you. Audit your atmosphere. Look at the conversations you're having, the content you're consuming, and the company you're keeping. Ask yourself, does this push me toward my purpose or pull me away from it? Every environment has an atmosphere, and you have to decide if that atmosphere aligns with your assignment. The truth is, your mind is a mirror. It reflects what it's exposed to most often. If you want to think bigger, you have to get around people who live bigger. If you want to grow spiritually, you need to spend time around people who carry depth and wisdom. If you want to build wealth, you need to be in rooms where money is discussed intelligently, not emotionally. Transformation requires exposure. You can't become what you've never seen. Sometimes God will place you in an uncomfortable environment just to show you what's possible, to stretch your capacity and show you that there's more to life than what you've been settling for. You cannot take flight while clinging to people who are content with crawling. You must choose elevation over attachment. This doesn't mean you stop loving people. It means you stop limiting yourself to keep them comfortable. The ones who truly care about you will celebrate your growth, even if it challenges them. The ones who don't will try to guilt you back into your old patterns. Don't apologize for evolving. Don't dim your light to make others feel safe in their shadows. Your growth may offend small minds, but it will inspire great ones. Changing your environment isn't always about geography. Sometimes it's about mentality. You might still live in the same place, but you can choose a new mental environment. Fill your mind with empowering content. Replace gossip with gratitude. Replace fear-based voices with faith-filled ones. Build an inner environment of focus and belief so strong that even when your outer world hasn't changed yet, your inner world is already transformed. Because real change begins internally. When you upgrade your mindset, your external environment eventually adjusts to match it. Sometimes you won't find the right environment. You'll have to create it. Be the light in dark spaces. Be the discipline in lazy spaces. Be the faith in fearful spaces. When you hold your standards high long enough, others either rise to meet them or fall away on their own. Don't compromise your growth to fit where you no longer belong. If the place you're in can't contain your vision, it's time to move. You were not designed to fit in, you were designed to expand. The truth is, your environment doesn't just influence you, it instructs you. It teaches you what's acceptable, what's achievable, and what's admirable. So surround yourself with excellence. Stay close to people who speak life, not limitation. Be around those who make you uncomfortable with their progress because their success reminds you that you can do more. Exposure to greatness eliminates excuses. When you consistently see what's possible, you lose the ability to settle for less. In 1 week, you can completely shift your environment. You can stop answering negative calls, clean your space, remove toxic content from your media, and spend time with voices that inspire growth. You can choose silence over drama, purpose over procrastination, and peace over pressure. Within days, Your energy will shift because your environment will stop draining you and start feeding you. The atmosphere you create determines the future you experience. You don't need to wait for perfect conditions to start changing. You just need to take responsibility for the space you control. When you align your environment with your vision, transformation accelerates. Suddenly, you think clearer, work harder, and believe deeper. You stop feeling like you're forcing success because your surroundings now support it. That's the power of the right environment. It doesn't just change your habits, it changes your identity. And when your identity changes, your entire life follows. You become unrecognizable not because the world changed, but because you chose to plant yourself where growth was inevitable. Pain is the proof of progress. Every time you decide to grow, pain becomes part of the process. You can't transform without tension, and you can't evolve without discomfort. Most people run from pain, not realizing it's the very thing designed to refine them. Growth and pain travel together. One never shows up without the other. When you feel pain in your body, it means something is healing or strengthening. The same is true in your life. Emotional, mental, or spiritual pain is a signal that transformation is happening beneath the surface. The problem is people misinterpret pain as punishment when it's really preparation. Pain isn't your enemy. It's evidence that you're breaking limits and building capacity. The moment you step outside your comfort zone, pain greets you like an old friend. It whispers doubt, fear, and temptation to quit. But those who embrace pain as a teacher instead of an enemy become unstoppable. You can't reach greatness without walking through discomfort. It's in those moments when you want to give up that your new identity is being formed. Every muscle in your body only grows after it's been torn and rebuilt. Your spirit works the same way. Each challenge you endure stretches your resilience, each disappointment deepens your wisdom, and each setback strengthens your faith. Pain doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to develop you. When you run from pain, you run from progress. You can't pray for strength and avoid struggle. They are two sides of the same coin. If everything in your life feels easy, it means you're not growing. Comfort may feel safe, but it's a slow death to potential. Pain, on the other hand, is a sign of life. It means you're stretching beyond your limits. It means your old patterns are being challenged, your old excuses are being exposed, and your old identity is being replaced. Transformation always feels uncomfortable because it requires shedding the layers of who you used to be. The old version of you doesn't die quietly. It fights for survival. Every time you try to level up, your old self will resist. That resistance is pain. But that pain is proof that change is taking root. Most people see pain as a signal to stop, but successful people see it as a signal to keep going. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. You have to choose which one you're willing to carry. Discipline hurts now but frees you later. Regret feels easy now but chains you later. Pain, when embraced correctly, becomes the most valuable currency in transformation. It teaches lessons comfort could never teach. Pain shows you your limits, but it also reveals how much stronger you are than you believed. It exposes your weaknesses not to embarrass you, but to invite you to grow beyond them. There's purpose in every kind of pain. The pain of failure teaches humility. The pain of rejection builds resilience. The pain of loss deepens gratitude. The pain of hard work develops discipline. Every tear you shed has a lesson hidden within it. The question isn't whether you'll experience pain. The question is whether you'll waste it or use it. You can either let pain break you or let it build you. When you see pain through the lens of purpose, it becomes fuel instead of frustration. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift in mindset turns suffering into strategy. Pain has a way of revealing truth. It strips away the lies you tell yourself and exposes what's real. It shows you who's truly with you, who believes in you, and how much faith you actually have. Pain purifies. It removes pride, comfort, and complacency. It tests your conviction. You'll never know how strong your commitment is until it's tested by discomfort. Talk is easy when life is calm, but conviction is proven in the storm. The person who learns to endure pain with purpose becomes unstoppable because they no longer fear it. Once you realize pain can't destroy you, it loses its power over you. Pain also builds perspective. It makes you appreciate joy, peace, and success on a deeper level. The mountain looks more beautiful when you remember the valley you climbed through. Every scar tells a story of strength. The pain you're feeling today is proof that you didn't quit yesterday. If you keep pushing, it will soon become the reason you're stronger tomorrow. The moments that hurt the most often produce the greatest growth. What once felt like breaking you will later be the thing that built you. You have to train yourself to find purpose in pain. Instead of complaining about how hard life is, thank life for showing you how capable you are. Pain builds character. It separates those who talk about change from those who actually live it. Every champion has a history of hardship. Every success story is written in chapters of struggle. What makes them different is that they didn't stop when it hurt. They used the hurt as a hammer to shape their greatness. The fire that burns others refines those who choose to endure. If you want to become unrecognizable, don't avoid pain, align with it. Welcome it as confirmation that your transformation is working. When you're sore from growth, celebrate it. When you're uncomfortable from change, stay there. That's where progress lives. Pain doesn't last forever, but the lessons it gives you will. Every time you push through pain instead of retreating, You gain strength that can't be taken away. You build a mental toughness that outlasts any obstacle. In 1 week, pain can change you more than comfort can in a lifetime. If you commit to facing it instead of fleeing from it, you'll see a version of yourself you've never met before. The version that doesn't break under pressure but grows because of it. The version that doesn't give up when it gets hard but gets sharper, wiser, and stronger. Pain is the proof that the process is working. It's the fire that forges your focus. The goal isn't to live without pain, it's to live with purpose through it. Once you understand that pain is not your punishment, but your promotion, you'll stop fearing it and start using it. That's when growth becomes unstoppable, and that's when you become truly unrecognizable. Faith turns change into power. You can change your habits through effort, but you change your destiny through faith. Faith is the invisible force that transforms what's possible into what's real. It's the spark that ignites your actions and gives your struggle meaning. Without faith, change becomes a burden. With faith, it becomes a breakthrough. Faith isn't about seeing the finish line. It's about trusting that it's there even when your eyes can't find it. You don't wait to believe after you see results. You believe first, and then results follow. Faith is acting on an unseen reality with the confidence that it's already done. When you decide to transform your life, faith becomes your foundation. Discipline may build consistency, but faith builds conviction. There are moments when logic will fail you, when results won't show up as fast as you want, and when people will doubt your progress. That's where faith takes over. Faith allows you to keep walking even when the path isn't clear. It whispers, keep going, when everything around you screams, give up. It's the power that helps you push through confusion, uncertainty, and resistance. Without faith, change becomes temporary. With faith, change becomes transformation. Faith is not wishful thinking. It's intentional believing. It's not hoping something might happen. It's knowing deep within that it already has. The moment you believe you can become unrecognizable, your actions begin to align with that belief. Faith shapes behavior. It pulls you toward a higher version of yourself. It gives strength to your discipline and purpose to your pain. Faith tells your mind to stay focused when your emotions try to drift. It tells you to move forward even when there's no visible reward yet. Every great change starts with faith because faith is the seed that produces results long before they appear. You don't need faith for what's easy. You need faith for what looks impossible. Faith is built when you step into areas where your effort alone isn't enough. It's in those moments of uncertainty that faith grows roots. When you keep showing up, giving your best, and trusting the process even when there's no evidence that it's working, that's faith in motion. And faith in motion creates miracles and momentum. It changes you from the inside out. You begin to act as if your future self already exists, and that alignment starts pulling your reality in that direction. Faith and fear cannot coexist. One will always silence the other. Fear says, what if it doesn't work? Faith says, what if it does? Fear looks at circumstances, faith looks at possibilities. Fear waits for proof, faith becomes the proof. When you choose faith, you stop letting your feelings control your future. You stop being limited by what's visible and start being guided by what's possible. The key to transformation isn't trying harder, it's believing deeper. Faith gives you the courage to do things your current reality doesn't yet support. It allows you to take bold actions, speak differently, and carry yourself like the person you're becoming instead of the person you've been. The most powerful version of you already exists in potential form. Faith is what brings that version into existence. Every decision rooted in faith becomes a step closer to that reality. Faith turns invisible dreams into visible results. It transforms doubt into determination. It changes waiting into working. When you have faith, you stop negotiating with your limitations. You stop making excuses for why you can't and start finding reasons why you can. Faith rewires your identity. It tells your mind that you are no longer a prisoner of your past, but a pioneer of your future. Faith also amplifies your ability to endure. There will be days when progress feels invisible, when you feel stuck even after doing everything right. Faith keeps you steady during those seasons. It reminds you that growth doesn't always show on the surface. It's happening underground, in silence, in unseen spaces. Just like a seed that takes time to sprout, your transformation may not show instantly, but faith allows you to keep watering, keep nurturing, keep believing until it breaks through. Most people quit not because they can't do it, but because they stop believing it's worth it. Faith keeps you believing when motivation fades. Faith is the energy behind resilience. It gives you the strength to stand up again after falling, to rebuild after breaking, and to believe after being disappointed. When life tests you, faith tells you that this test is temporary, but your transformation is permanent. Faith doesn't promise an easy journey, but it promises a victorious one. It doesn't eliminate obstacles. It empowers you to overcome them. When you walk by faith, you start to see obstacles as opportunities, delays as preparation, and failures as redirection. Every step taken in faith carries the potential to turn struggle into strength. Faith also attracts what effort alone cannot. When you move in faith, you align yourself with opportunities, people, and resources that seem to appear out of nowhere. That's not coincidence, that's the power of belief creating connections. Your energy changes when you believe. Your words carry more conviction, your actions become more consistent, and your presence becomes magnetic. Faith draws in what you're ready to receive. It's not magic, It's alignment. You start attracting what matches your mindset. Real faith doesn't need validation. It doesn't require applause or approval. It's personal, powerful, and persistent. You can't borrow someone else's faith. You have to build your own. And building faith comes from taking small steps in uncertainty and watching them turn into victories. Every time you act in faith, your confidence grows. You begin to realize that the same power that carried you through the last challenge will carry you through the next one. Faith builds momentum, and momentum creates mastery. To become unrecognizable, your transformation must move from external change to internal conviction. Habits change behavior, but faith changes identity. When you begin to believe that you are already the person you're becoming, you stop acting like a beginner and start operating like a believer. Faith transforms every someday into now. It makes you live, think, and move as if your destiny is already unfolding, because it is. Faith doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are while you're doing it. It gives you the strength to persist, the courage to act, and the patience to trust. When you walk by faith, the world might not recognize you, but that's the point. You're not supposed to look like who you used to be. You're supposed to become the person you were always meant to be. And faith is what makes that transformation possible. You want a new life? Then stop waiting for the next year, the next month, or the next Monday. Transformation starts now. 1 week of focused, disciplined, faith-driven action can make you unrecognizable. And when people see you again, they'll ask, "What happened to you?" You'll smile and say, "I finally met the person I was always meant to be."